In this video, I'll be sharing a requested illustration on how to achieve this smoked tube dress with layered gathers or layered flay. So for this particular illustration, we're going to start by drafting out the upper part, and I'll be illustrating the lower part of this dress. Now, if you look at the thumbnail or the video before this, you'll notice that this smoked dress started close to the chest line. So what you do is to go ahead to place your tape, and you'll be using -6 from the shoulder. So if you don't want to use -6, you can go ahead to find your chest line, which is your armhole, and add 1 inch on top of it. Now I'll place my tape, and I'm going to mark from that -6 to my waistline, right? And I'm going to go ahead to mark this. After marking this, I'm going to go ahead to connect this all the way to the lower part of my pattern this way. Now, after I'm done marking, for a smoked dress or sheer dress, you have to add additional 4 to 5 inches before the actual dress pattern, right? Now, I'm adding additional 4 inches to mine, and I'm going to go ahead to draw a straight line. Now, after I'm done marking that, I'll start inserting my measurement. So you can decide to use the biggest measurement for your pattern. So to check my biggest measurement, this pattern, it is actually my bust. But I'll be inserting my bust circumference divided by 4 here, and go down and use my actual waist. Just like I said, you can use your biggest measurement, or you can go ahead to add your actual measurement. But you must add extra 4 inches to 5 inches, which will give it the room to create that sheer effect on your dress. If not, if you share your dress with the actual size of your measurement, after doing that, the dress will not fit you, like it's not going to enter you. Now I'm just going to go ahead to cut out this part of my pattern. Now, after cutting this, I'll also use it to cut out the back. You're going to use the same pattern for both the front and the back. So after I'm done cutting this, we are going to move over to the lower part of this pattern. Now for the lower part, I'll be doing an illustration on it because that part is quite big if I start cutting it on the pattern paper. Now you're going to cut a lining measuring from your waist to almost the full length of your dress. Let's say your full length is 60 inches. Then you cut out your upper part, which is 20 inches. Now you'll be left with 40 inches. So when you're cutting your lining will be around 38-37 inches. So now you won't use your actual waist length to cut out that lining. You're going to mark your waist measurement plus additional 10 to 20 inches so that the lining will be free, and when you attach the flay, it's going to stand, and the flay will be able to relax on it. Now after that, you start marking where your flay will start. The first flay will start at the waistline. Now you go down and measure where you want the second flay, the third flay, and the fourth flay to start, depending on the amount of layer of flay you want to add to this. Now you can also cut it in form of a straight fabric and gather it, but looking at what we have on the thumbnail, it is a flay. But when you're cutting this flay, you're not going to use the actual measurement of your body. What you do is that lining you cut out, measure the waistline you used for that lining. Let's say if your waist is 20, you can add additional 20 inches to it, making it 40. And when you're attaching the lining back to the dress, you will have to gather the waistline. So now let's go over to the flay part. We are using a 180-degree flay. To cut it, you're going to fold your pattern in a triangular form this way. If you use a 360-degree flay, you have to cut a lot of fabric. So using a 180-degree flay is fine. So what you do is that since your actual waistline is 28, you're not going to use that 28. You're going to like add extra inches to it so that you can create a gathers, because you're gathering the waistline of the lining. Now whatever you're cutting, you're going to add extra inches to it to allow you gather it or fold it to the upper part so that it will form that gathers effect. Now let's say that the actual waistline you cut out is 40 inches. Now you divide that 40 inches by 2, right? Then you are going to place it on your paper this way. Try to form a semicircle. If you divide that 40 inches by 2, what you have is 20 inches. You're going to go ahead to form like a rough curve, creating that 20 inches. Now what you now do is to go ahead to place your tape from the tip of your fabric to that rough curve that you drew out, that is 20 inches. Now you see where my tape is stopping at 6, that's where the semicircle stopped. Now I'll pick that 6 inches line and I'll go ahead to take it round. So wherever your pattern stops, that is wherever the semicircle you create for your actual pattern stops, that's what you'll be taking round to form your own flay waistline. Now I'll go ahead to take this round to form a circle, that is half circle, and I'll go ahead to connect it. Now after connecting those lines, what I'm going to do next is to find the length. Now you're going to cut out the first length of your flay. So the first length of the flay might not be as long as the second one, depending on what you want to achieve. Now mark the length of your flay, including your joining allowance and folding allowance. Now after cutting this, that is, you go ahead and mark that measurement round, and you're going to go ahead to connect it this way. Now after you're done connecting, the next step you're going to take is to go ahead to cut it out. Now after cutting out, you still use this same method to cut about 3 to 4 layers of flay. Now after that, you'll be placing and joining it on those lines that you marked. But first you need to find the center piece, and each flay, after the first flay, the second, third, fourth flay is actually fuller than that of the first flay. So whatever you're going to cut will be fuller than the first flay. So now let's just say this is the first flay. You place it on that lining and you're going to stitch on it. Now after doing this, you're going to cut out your second flay, which will be more fuller than that of the first flay. Attach, cut out the third flay, just that same way until you get the full length of your dress. Now after doing that, you can go ahead to stitch at the back of the dress. Now to create that ruffle sleeve at the neckline, cut out your fabric times 3 of the measurement you have there, and you insert an elastic to it.